and welcome to another UCL Fantasy video. Today we're going to take a look at a Matchday 2 Wildcard draft as well as some tips as well. We're going to look at some teams to buy, some teams to avoid, some of my favourite picks for this match day. Basically, for those of us wildcarding, there's a different range of budgets as well, and then we'll look at my own draft at the end. So let's jump straight into things. So starting us off, we're looking at some of the better teams that you can buy and some of the teams that you probably want to avoid for a wild card. Now, this whole thing is basically set up on using the Limitless chip in Matchday 4. I think if you're going to be wildcarding this game week, Matchday 4 is definitely the best time to use a Limitless. I think as an individual game week or as an individual match day, the Limitless is definitely best used in Matchday 4, which is why most of us are going to be using the wildcard in Matchday 2. So looking at some of those teams, you can see they've got 4 fixtures for each of the teams missing out on Matchday 4. And in terms of the players we want to look at for our wildcard, we've got United there, probably with, on paper, the easiest fixtures, along with Bayern, who basically have the same. United have more home games though, which is why they're at the top there. I do think the people on the Limitless are going to be using probably triple Bayern and triple United, maybe even triple Arsenal as well, who have some fairly decent fixtures. For us, using the wildcard, it's going to be a bit more difficult because the United players are very expensive, along with the Bayern players as well. So we're going to have to kind of pick and choose the players we want to go for. But in terms of fixtures from Matchday 2 to 5, for Bayern and Man United, it's going to be really good. And then we're obviously going to have some free transfers to use in Matchday 6 to maybe get out some of the defenders that we've went for. Arsenal is one of those teams you can just take and then have them till the end of the group stage. The fixtures are very good, so players like Saka, Odegaard as well are definitely ones you're going to want to look at, and you can really just keep them in the team, and the only time you have to worry about them is if they get injured or suspended as well. I think it's similar with the likes of Inter and Barca. They've kind of got some players on the cheaper side, like the mid-range kind of area. So I think you could definitely triple up on those as well. Especially at Inter, like the defence looks really, really solid this season, and they're fairly cheap. And the fixtures don't look too bad either. So you've got 2 home fixtures in Matchday 2 and 3 there for Inter. And as I said, I think they've only conceded 1 game in maybe 6 games in the league so far. So they are looking very, very decent defensively. City, obviously, everyone knows how good City are. Then we've got Atletico and Real, who have decent fixtures. Real's maybe a bit harder with 2 Napoli games in there. But I definitely would be looking at players like Bellingham, who just is fantastic value. And then Real Sociedad at the end, they're kind of coming in with a lot of the cheap options. There's a lot of very, very, very cheap players for Real Sociedad, and their fixtures look decent, where I think you could get away with 1 or 2 of those players and use them as enablers. For the teams we want to be avoiding, again, it's really just the teams with the hard fixtures. We're probably not going to want any Napoli players. Someone like Di Lorenzo is a very, very popular player in the game, but I think you're going to really be taking a chance there with 2 of those fixtures being against Real Madrid. I think for the 5.5 million that Di Lorenzo costs, you're probably better just going for maybe like DeMarco and Dumfries, those kind of players. You've got Saliba as well at 5.5, who's probably just going to be a bit better. I think maybe someone like Di Lorenzo will be good for your Matchday 4 Limitless chip, but I think for the wild card it's maybe one that you want to miss out on. Again, there's lots of transfer opportunities as well. If you've maybe got a United or Bayern defender, you can always take them out for Di Lorenzo in Matchday 6. When they play against Braga at home, that's definitely a decent option. But for me, I think I would be avoiding Napoli totally for the rest of the group stage. Benfica as well, again, 2 difficult fixtures again against Inter. You're really going to be looking at mostly Benfica's attackers, the likes of Di Maria. But again, they're playing against Inter Milan, who we just said are very, very good at keeping clean sheets. So I probably wouldn't go anywhere near them. Galatasaray and Copenhagen, but no one really picks Copenhagen. Galatasaray had a few players that were picked in game week 1, the likes of Icardi, and then there was a midfielder a lot of people went for as well. I just would totally avoid them. I think they'd probably have the hardest fixtures you can get in the group stage, so I think that's a no-brainer there. Leipzig, again, another team that a lot of people tripled up on Matchday 1 with the likes of Rom, Henrichs, Blaskovic is the goalkeeper, Xavi Simons as well. I just think with 2 fixtures against Man City, the fixtures in between that are quite good as well, but I would probably just look elsewhere with those Man City fixtures. Newcastle and PSG again, it's a no-brainer there. They've got easily the toughest group in the competition, and I think you're best probably just missing them out. I think obviously Mbappe is one of those people you would consider to be fixture proof, but Newcastle away is a very difficult fixture. They can be very solid defensively, and I think for the 11.5 million that Mbappe costs, you're probably just better using that money on another striker with better fixtures. So looking at some of my favourite picks, we're looking at the goalkeepers first. Again, a couple of obvious choices in there. Again, we're really looking just to target those fixtures. So most of the players in these picks are going to be players who are just in those teams and the teams to buy graphic there. I've also got Riznik at the bottom there as a 4 million goalkeeper. I think he's probably the best choice you can get when picking a player for the opposite day. There's a lot of good goalkeepers, the likes of Sommer and Ramiro, who both play on the same day, so you can't really go for them because you want to pick obviously 2 goalkeepers who play on different days. I think Riznik at 4 million is a very decent option. You can look at getting some saves. Plus Matchday 2 and Matchday 5, you're getting the Antwerp fixture, and you only really have to worry about the one in the middle against Barcelona, because you're going to limitless in Matchday 4 and miss the second Barcelona fixture. So you're getting 2 Antwerp fixtures, a Barcelona fixture, and then a Porto fixture in Matchday 6 as well. So I don't think the fixtures are that bad, and you are picking the Shakhtar goalkeeper there. But again, I think everyone else is a fairly obvious choice. Next up, looking at some of the defenders, we're looking at, again, some fairly obvious picks. Cancelo and Davies, very decent, especially will probably be the most picked players in the limitless drafts for this week. I think Cancelo is definitely one that you want to be looking at. Even with Porto away, it's still it's considered a medium range kind of fixture. But Cancelo just looks like he's doing very well. I think he's got maybe 2 goals in 2 games, or maybe it's a goal and an assist for Barcelona so far. And he is kind of back at kind of what we used to get from Cancelo a season or 2 ago. Davies as well, probably the third best player you can get for Bayern behind Kane and Sané. He's definitely the best defender, especially for attacking potential as well. I went for Molina as well. He picked up an assist in Matchday 1. He's also scored for Atletico Madrid this season from right back. He is quite expensive, so maybe is one to jig about with for your wild card. Maybe I wouldn't prioritise him, but he is definitely someone who could do quite well because the fixtures are decent for them as well. 2 Inter guys, of course, because of the fixtures as we were just speaking about, similar with Saliba. Gosens, I think at 5 mil could also be a very good differential pick. He has 3 goals and 5 starts for Union Berlin in the Bundesliga this year, and he always has kind of been that attacking wing back, and he is still clearly continuing that at his new team. I do think he could be a very good differential. He does play in the first day. It would have been probably a guaranteed pick in my wildcard team if he played in the second day, because I feel like I'm struggling to find players that are going to play on the second day, and if he was, I probably would have went for him, but he definitely looks like a very good pick. He's one of the cheaper defenders as well, only 5 million, and the fixtures look decent. You're getting 2 against Braga, 1 against Napoli, and then Matchday 6 is the one against Real Madrid, so you probably could look at maybe getting him out towards Matchday 6, but I think the first couple of fixtures he definitely could do quite well on. Dest, I'm struggling really to find a 4.5 million defender that's kind of going to be a good pick to choose. Dest is sort of rotation prone in the PSV team, but he has played the Champions League matches where Teze kind of is playing more of the league matches. Dest has only started in 3 league matches so far, but as I said, he is playing the Champions League ones. But you can't guarantee he's going to play, but if he does, it's a 4.5 million defender. I think Darmian was kind of one of those good picks last year, but he didn't start in Matchday 1. So again, the 4.5s kind of seem a bit rotation prone, and it's hard to kind of nail one down right now. But for me, I went for Dest as that pick. Next up, we've went for the midfielders. Of course, all the expensive ones are fairly obvious. It's the guys with the best fixtures. In terms of the kind of medium budget player, Mendes, down as a midfielder, kind of playing as a striker a little bit. Kind of depends on the formation that Sociedad play, but I believe in the last Champions League game he did play as a striker and done very well there as well. Thuram unfortunately didn't play in match day 1, but he has basically played every other game apart from the first Champions League game. I don't know if he had a slight injury in match day 1, but then he came on as a sub, and that was fine. But he has still been banging the goals and getting assists as well. So I think 6.5 million Thuram definitely looks very good. Stengs as well done very good in match day 1, and I think Feyenoord are just scoring a lot of goals right now. And I think even against Atletico Madrid he could do well. He is on the free kicks, and I don't know if he's on the penalties. I think Jimenez kind of takes the penalties, but Jimenez is still banned for match day 2, so it could be Stengs. I'm not too sure on that one, but I do think he is one of the cheaper midfielders, and I think he definitely could do quite well. In terms of the cheaper guys, we've got Timber. He was on the budget picks video a couple of weeks ago. He is good for ball recoveries, and he is picking up some goals and assists as well. He picked up 2 assists in the recent game against Ajax. They won 4-0, so I definitely think at 5 million he could be very good. And then I've got Baranetsia, I want to say his name is, 4.5 million. He is starting for Sociedad, and he has picked up a couple of goals as well so far this season, playing as a left mid, left winger kind of role. Scored against Real Madrid as well in that 1-0 win, I think it was. It was either 1-0 win or 1-1 draw, but he has looked very good, and you can guarantee that he's going to play for 4.5 million. And I think him and Ivanusic are kind of hand in hand as the best 4.5 million midfielders. But Ivanusic is currently injured right now, so again, I think with Real Sociedad's fixtures, he could definitely be quite good. And finally, before we move on to the draft, we're looking at some of the better strikers. Again, same with the more expensive guys, those are just the obvious picks with the better fixtures, and they are just kind of fixture proof in a way. In terms of the medium picks, Felix obviously done very well. I think he's a bit of a cheap alternative to Lewandowski if you can't afford him. I would definitely still pick Lewandowski over Felix, but again, it's 2.5 million cheaper, and Felix outscored him in match day 1, so you can't really go wrong with that. Alvarez, the same as basically Felix, a cheaper alternative to Haaland. And he is 4.5 million cheaper, so he definitely could do quite well. I went for Højlund as well. I think he is Man United's starting striker, and he has started, I believe, the last 3 games for United since coming back from injury. I think 7 million could definitely do it very well, and again, he is a cheaper alternative to the other Man United attackers, especially for us on a wild card. The likes of Rashford and Bruno Fernandes could end up being too expensive, so Højlund is a cheap way into the Man United attack if that's the kind of thing you're looking for. And then finally, we've got Kubo, another player who I had in the budget picks video, and again 5 million, one of the cheapest strikers you can get in the game, and he has done very well for Sociedad with some goals, some assists, playing as a right winger, and again similar to Berenetsia, sorry, I've got no idea how to say that name. He could do quite well, and he is on the other wing, so both of them are doing very decent. So it depends if you're looking for a cheaper striker or a cheaper midfielder. I definitely would look at getting one of those in your wildcard teams. So moving on to the draft then, we're finally getting on to it. We're starting off with the goalkeepers. Starting off with Jan Sommer. I think he probably just is the best pick you can go for. In terms of basically going for a wild card. He is one of the cheaper goalkeepers in the game, playing for one of the best defences in the game as well. So for me, I think it's a no-brainer. You don't really want to be using too much budget on the goalkeepers, I think, unless you're on a limitless, of course. So I think Sommer is definitely probably the best value goalkeeper in the game this year. I've also went for Riznik. As I said, I think he's probably the best goalkeeper you can get that plays on the second day. So I'm really just looking for someone who's just going to get some saves, hopefully, and then maybe a possible clean sheet. Really just looking for someone who's going to play, to be honest. Sommer does play first, which is a big bonus because I'm really hoping he can keep a clean sheet in most games. That way I don't have to worry about Riznik. But again, I'm trying to save as much money in the goalkeeper spots, and I feel like those two are a very good partnership. Next up, we're looking at the defence. I went for Cancelo, DiMarco, Saliba, all for obvious reasons. The defences are very good. And for DiMarco and Cancelo, there is big chances of attack and returns. I went for a Upamecano because I just can't quite afford Davies, I would like Davies, but unfortunately you can't afford everyone when you're trying to make a wildcard team with only 100 million. And then I went for Dest as well. I'm not really too sure about him. He is one that might change. It will come the team selection video next week. But for now he's there because I do need a 4.5 million defender to kind of accommodate the team that I want. So he's there. Again, I do think he should play as a right back for PSV. And the PSV fixtures are decent with Lens and Sevilla after playing Arsenal. So Arsenal's not till match day 6. So I'm quite happy with that there. But again, as I said about Upamecano, hopefully he can cover any clean sheets that Bayern get. And yeah, maybe he can grab a quick goal as well. Looking at the midfielders, again, pretty obvious in terms of most of the picks. Saka, Sané, very, very popular picks they'll be this week. If Saka ends up injured, I can save 0.5 million and just go for Odegaard instead. I feel like that's an easy swap. Sané, probably the best midfielder you can go for, I think, on a wild card. Bellingham, again, one of the best value, probably the best value player in the game this year at 7.5 million. I wouldn't really be too worried about the fixtures because he is technically playing as a striker role for Real Madrid, so he can get any goal. And with the form he's in right now, I feel like it's going to be very difficult not to go for him. Stengs, as I spoke about, I think Feyenoord are just scoring a lot of goals right now, and I'm just happy to go with him, to be honest. I think I would like to upgrade to Thuram if possible, so maybe if Saka ends up injured, I downgrade to Odegaard and then I could upgrade Stengs to Thuram. That's always an option as well, but then maybe I'd look at upgrading Dest to a 5 million defender instead. Then I've got Baronetsia, again, still don't know how to say his name, but 4.5 million. He's just a fantastic enabler, I think, and he just works really well for the team that I want to go for. And rounding off the team with the strikers, we're going for Erling Haaland, Kane and Højlund. Reason for Haaland, fairly obvious. He is still the best striker in the world even after a disappointing match day 1, and he does play on the second day, so that's an easy captaincy right there. Going for Harry Kane, I think, is probably the number 1 pick for match day 2 against Copenhagen. And that's the captaincy for match day 1. So 2 fantastic captaincies at striker, and then we went for Højlund as well. As I said, I kind of went away into the Man United attack with their fixtures, Galatasaray and Copenhagen. I think Man United are just going to score a lot of goals there, and hopefully Højlund is going to continue to start and will be the starting striker. I think he definitely could get involved in some of the goals. And as I said, I can't, with a wildcard team, afford the likes of Rashford and Bruno without making big downgrades elsewhere. So I'm happy with Højlund for now. And again, if anything comes out about him not playing, I can always make that switch to Alvarez. Again, City have very, very good fixtures. And even Kubo as well, I could go for as a cheaper option and free up 2 million elsewhere. And I just think, I feel like you need to have someone for a Man United attack. I've only got 1 Man United player in this team, even with their easy fixtures, but I just think they are all a bit too expensive. And I would rather have the likes of Bayern players and maybe Arsenal players as well, instead of going for Bruno and Rashford at very expensive prices. So I think Højlund's nicely priced that you can pick him on a wild card and have him for a good few weeks. And again, you can always look to move him out in match day 6. So this is how the team looks in terms of the dates with the fixtures. We get 3 players to sit on the bench that play on the 4th of October. That's going to be Haaland, Stengs and Cancelo. Everyone else will be playing in the starting 11. I think that's 3 very, very strong players to bring off the bench as well. Of course, Haaland is going to be that captain. So anyone who ends up blanking on that first day, we can always move to the second. In terms of looking at those that team as fixtures as a whole, it looks fairly good. The red fixtures don't really come until like the later game weeks where we get free transfers to use anyway. So looking at match day 2 and 3 alone, there is a lot of very good fixtures there for most of our players. And yeah, I think there's a it's a very, very strong wildcard draft. Again, you can look at say like Dest there with 2 tough fixtures in match day 5 and 6. Then we've got like the Man United guys as well. I've kind of grayed those out because that's when you can make some transfers there. Say you just wanted to use 2. I think match day 3, you can easily roll a transfer as well, so you get an extra transfer in match day 5. But You can always transfer Dest out in Matchday 5 for someone, transfer Hoyland out if you want. In Matchday 5, you can maybe go for someone like Alvarez there against Leipzig and Red Star. But I do think when you look at that team as a whole, it just looks very, very strong going into Matchday 2, 3, 5, and 6, and then obviously we can limitless in between that. But that wraps up the Matchday 2 wildcard video. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like. And if you've not seen the Limitless video yet, I made that, I think, on Monday that came out. So go over to the channel and have a look at that if you've not seen it already. There will be a final team selection video out, and I believe Monday next week. So make sure you subscribe and turn notifications on so you know exactly when that goes out. But once again, thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like, and I'll see you all in the next video.